about ISF, what we do, and what we're all about. It was founded in 2009 to increase American Muslim representation in spaces and fields that share public narratives, policy, culture, and civic life. Since 2009, we've spent more than $4 million on emerging leaders in media law and public policy. We've awarded 965 scholarships, fellowships, internships, and grants. We believe that representation matters, right? Which is exactly what all of you do. Especially when communities are excluded from the rooms where stories are shaped, policies are written, and culture is created. To that end, storytelling, until today, remains one of the most powerful ways that we preserve our history, challenge stereotypes, and expand understanding. That's why ISF created the film program that supports filmmakers through scholarships, fellowships, grants, mentorships, and fiscal sponsorship. Since launching the program, we've supported 246 films, fellowships, and grant making, benefiting 134 filmmakers. More than 200 films created by ISF-supported filmmakers have screened at festivals across the country, including Sundance, Tribeca, South by Southwest, Cannes, DOC, NYC, and others. Many of these projects tell stories that are often overlooked and misunderstood in mainstream media. I can't take any credit for it. The bulk of the work has been done by Iman and Aiza. And so I would like you to please allow me to introduce Aiza. Aiza Fatima is an artist. She is the artist development programs manager and partnership manager at ISF. She's also an actor, a filmmaker, and a comedian. Her first feature, which I had the honor of taking my children to, and like big eyes, was Americanish. Distributed worldwide by Sony International. As an actor, she has had recurring roles on Law & Order, New Amsterdam, Hulu's Reasonable Doubt, and just filmed on the new Power Origins on Starz. Her comedy special, executive produced and hosted by Zainab Johnson, titled Muslim Girls DTF, is coming to a streamer this year, distributed by Watermelon Pictures. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Aiza Fatima.
Thank you so much, Thalia. Okay, amazing. Hello, everybody. My name is Aiza Fatima. I work at ISF. We are an organization that gives us scholarships and film grants. And one of our filmmakers is actually premiering at Tribeca. Whoa, Mo Naqvi's film. It is an action thriller set in Pakistan. All right, I know it sounds like it's not a real possibility, but it is. I promise you, it really is. Go watch it. It's premiering tonight, and there's 2 more screenings after today. I just want to kind of set up these films, and I also want to honestly give a shout out to first ISF, because they were sort of the first people to support me as an artist, but even before that, to Sue Obeidi, who is literally the OG who supported me, okay? Like when I was first on this journey doing theater on off Broadway, nobody had ever heard of. She like found me. I was like, Aiza, we have a blog. We want to like showcase you on it many years ago. So it's spaces like this that, you know, people like MPAC and ISF create that exist today. I'm going to give another shout out. Many, many years ago when I was starting out, my first short film was here in New York as an actor. And the person I played opposite is right there, Blaine. we were actors together. And I haven't seen Blaine in 16 years. 16 years. And I walk in, I'm like, what's happening? And he has a very successful photography business, and he's moved on to other amazing things. But you know, guys, this is like the magic of New York, right? Right? And it's also community. And it's like these spaces that exist for us to be able to just connect. So just remember that, all right? Talk to one other person today that you haven't like come across before, at least before you walk out of here. Okay, back to these amazing films. So these are, Sue? There is popcorn in the back. Sue would like you to know. Please have some. Okay. Okay. That is Sue in a nutshell, you guys. Who should really be a comedian? Clap if you think Sue should be. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. back to this. Okay, so we're going to be screening 2 short films for you guys today. ISF sponsors anywhere between 9 to 12 films every year that we give out film grants to. So these are some of those films that we have supported through, and filmmakers we have supported through various different programs. We have fellowships and film grants, and you're going to meet the filmmakers afterwards. We're going to be showing you 2 short films, a narrative, a documentary, and then there's a trailer for a film that's a work in progress. And then we'll talk to the filmmakers after, briefly before we break for dinner. The first film you guys saw, which was Cigarettes, is directed by Sarah Moch, who's amazing. This short film actually world premiered at South by Southwest, and since then, just last year, 2025?
Yeah, last year.
And then she's made a feature since then that, based off of this was a proof of concept, and that you guys are in post on right now. Yep. Which is amazing, an amazing feat. Yeah, and we're so proud and excited to support this work. And the next one you saw, Halal Bodies, this is the director, Nosheen. I mean, Nosheen's a rock star. She has premiered her feature at Tribeca a few years ago. She has actually, I don't know if you guys are, this one premiered, Halal Bodies, was at CamFest just right now. Nosheen also was the director of photography of the opening night feature film, which is on HBO right now. If you haven't seen it, go watch that one also. It's called The A-List, and it highlights 15 Asian Americans doing amazing work in the US. But yeah, Nosheen's amazing film, Halal Bodies. And then the trailer we just watched is Sage Songs, which is Serena Rasul's trailer, which was also amazing, and she's working on the film right now. Yeah. I've seen these films a few times, all of them, and even the trailer now, right? And versions of this film and the trailer. And it's interesting, this time watching this film, there was a word that really stuck out to me, and it was vulnerability. And it was actually in Halal Bodies. There's a line where she says, because my mother was never vulnerable with me, I didn't know how to do it, right? And so I want to talk about vulnerability because I feel like all of these films touch on that. And what does that word mean to you in relationship to the film that we just saw? No pressure, Nosheen, you may go first.
Thank you.
It's a class. Go on.
Can I first just say that there's some people that worked on the film that are in the audience, so
Please.
If they can stand up, because we have a very New York crew, and some of them are here. Woo! And then also Isa, thank you so much for championing these projects. You and Iman are amazing, along with MPAC, of course.
Also, Iman Zawari, the director of film programs at ISF, is right there. She has all the monies. Go talk to her about that afterwards. She loves that.
I feel like this is a really hard question for me to answer, honestly, because one of the things that I really struggled with this film is that a lot of the things that our participants are talking about and being vulnerable about are things that I would not say on camera.
That's why I'm asking you the question.
Honestly, it's been this ethical conundrum for me of is it okay to ask people to share these stories on camera when I wouldn't do it myself? And I've had these conversations with them, and what they have told me, and then they're like, thank you for making this movie. And I'm like, I couldn't make this movie without you, and you really made it. And I think what it was is that they needed the opportunity to share their story, and I think one of the other things is I'll try not to make this a long answer. When we were in development for the film, I just did a call out on Instagram for did you have a sex talk with your parents, and can you please share it with me if you did? And my mom was like, oh, nobody's gonna respond to you about this. And I was 60 people want to talk to me about their sex life on me, and some of them were like, oh, I don't even want to be in your movie. I just want to tell you this thing. Can we grab a coffee? No, truly. And someone someone came out to me on one of these calls and they were like, I don't have anybody to share this with, and I can tell you because I'm never gonna see you again, And so I think I guess the way I sort of sleep at night is that I at least created a space for people to be able to share these things and hopefully have an exchange, even if you're not, meeting each other, you're seeing your stories on the screen, and that helps us all kind of tap into these places where maybe we're too scared to go.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Sarah?
It really feels like you're taking on the teacher role. I'm kind of scared of you.
You get an A+ on this, so go on.
I think filmmaking in general is a great act of vulnerability. It's we all want, we all have questions that we want to ask, and we all have things that we want to say, and it's where do we put it, and where do we say it? I guess I'll make a movie, and I think with fiction and narrative storytelling, it's you have a little, it's a buffer to sort of be vulnerable and ask questions without having to be yeah, this is my life, or these are the facts of my life, or whatever. And I think back to something Greta Gerwig said in after she made Lady Bird, because people were always asking her oh, is this about you? Is this about your life? And she's none of it happened, but it's all true. And I think through the process of making cigarettes and through the process of making The Alchemy of Being Okay, which we just finished, alhamdulillah, feature film. And that was a 4-year process, from when I wrote the first draft of the script to finally finishing the film. And I remember so many conversations with my producers, my incredible producers, Ahmed and Abu Bakr, who are not here today but are always here in my heart. But I remember them always kind of being oh, if something wasn't working in the script, or if something wasn't working in a performance, they're and Ahmed, I think, said this to me at one point. He was any time that something's not working, it's because you've told a lie, at some point in the process. And it'd be that would be the thing that would force me to be okay, what is the thing I'm actually trying to get at, or that I'm actually trying to say, or that I'm too ashamed to ask, or that I'm too scared to put out there because it feels too squeamish, or I don't want to reveal that this is something that I've thought about, or whatever. And I think them, and also having a team of collaborators who you ultimately feel comfortable enough around to be able to tap into those questions about yourself and tap into that space of vulnerability, is really the key. It's if you find your sort of tribe of collaborators, and I think that's the most important thing anyone can do in filmmaking, is finding your people. Then it becomes much easier and much less daunting to be okay, what is it that I'm actually trying to say, without trying to hide behind this facade of the thing that I'm trying to say. So
Thank you, guys. It's an honor to be up here with these ladies. Give them a round of applause, you guys. No, seriously. I just want to say, speaking of making people vulnerable, Aiza, Iman, ISF, Sue, MPAC, these are the OGs of all of this. And just thank you so much for giving us the platform to be here today. I'm not originally a filmmaker. I didn't set out to make this film. What happened was, in a moment of vulnerability, Mahmoud Khalil is one of my good friends, and we organized, I'm a PhD student in music at Columbia, Palestinian, and when everything happened, we took it upon ourselves to lead the student movement. And so Mahmoud and I were kind of on the front lines together, and he was taken. And it devastated us, devastated our entire community. Students at Columbia, we were terrified. I knew he had a green card, so I was shocked that ICE could pick him up, and that they did pick him up. And I'm an American citizen, so I thought, I mean, if they're going to pick up someone with the green card, they're going to pick up an American citizen. And I was pictured next to him in several things. So I didn't leave my house. I didn't leave my apartment for weeks. And when I finally stepped out, I saw a friend, and she was like, "What are you doing?" You know, I had these books, and I was like, I was in a mad woman state. And I was like, I know in Palestine that there was a tradition of singing songs when prisoners were released. And I want to find the songs that we sing to prisoners when they're released, because when Mahmoud gets released, I'm going to sing him these songs. And I know my mom knows them. I know somebody knows them. So I grabbed some books, and, you know, I grabbed my mom, and many, many phone calls with my mom. And we'll put her on the screen at some point, you'll see. And we found the songs, and we started to sing the songs, and then I started to travel around New York and teach the Palestinian Youth Choir and communities in Patterson the songs, so that if he's released anywhere in New York or New Jersey, that anyone could sing to him. And I went down to Louisiana to visit him in ICE detention, and I sat through his asylum hearing. And I will tell you, the most inhumane kangaroo court system we have is the immigration system in this country. And I know I'm taking up too much time, but I do want to say, please keep protecting our communities, and your local community. It was really eye-opening to see what transpired down there, and to see what evidence they use in these courts. They use hearsay and tabloid evidence. The federal government submitted New York Post articles as evidence against Mahmoud, and when his team objected to that evidence being admissible, the judge, she's a Southern judge, she said, "Mr. Vanderhoot, you know full well that we admit hearsay and tabloids in this courtroom." And I was shocked. I mean, I was literally shocked to hear that.
It's also probably a little bit of just the South.
This is just the South.
I grew up in the South. That's a little bit of the South
This
also.
is the South.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know I'm going on, but I.
New York, fact.
Yeah. So this is a very, very vulnerable project, because I didn't want to be. At any point, I didn't want to center my story, because this was always about Gaza. This was always about Palestine for me. But it was like, when I saw my friend and she started to follow me around, it was almost God's way of saying, like, no, you have to tell the story.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. I am going to open this up briefly to audience Q&A. I think we have a few minutes. Oh, we have 15 minutes. Oh, I didn't understand that part. Okay, then I'm not going to open it up to you guys. Forget you guys. I have more questions over here. No, I will open it up. Yes? We have 5 minutes. 15-5. Okay, conflicting information over here,
Let's do
friends.
10.
I got 10 in between. We're gonna go with we're gonna do the Desi Arab way and just make it happen. Okay. Can we, Serena, briefly just tell us, I know we just screened your trailer. I know these other films have had their premieres and they're moving on to other things, but you're still in the process of making this. So just briefly tell us how people can support this film, because I know you're also looking for a tiny bit of funds, you guys, that we can just raise in this room today. Let's go. Let's go, Serena.
Are we gonna lock the doors and
lock the doors until we raise? And this is a fundraiser.
If anyone's from DC, you know that there used to be a tradition of locking the hotel lobby doors when they would raise money for the Islamic Relief, I think. So
tell us what you need.
we're not gonna lock you in. Don't worry. No, so we do need some funds just to take us to the end. You know, as you can tell, music is very important, sound is very important. So any of these residual funds would go towards sound and color and, you know, all that fun stuff. We're 90% of the way through, so we're just in post and editing.
Give us a number. Give us a number. 10 grand. 10 grand.
Okay, 10 grand is the number. But there was a QR code, but we'll get that for you. Or I have it on my phone, so I can always share that with you if you're interested.
Please come find Serena afterwards. They're looking for a little bit more funding. Let's get this film made. We need to have many of these stories out in the world, right? To make sure that these narratives live on. So amazing. Thank you so much. I will open this up to the Q&A. Please, if anybody has any questions in the audience, let me know. Yes, Asya?
Thanks so much. I actually really appreciate you doing this story because, again, I would never, ever speak in public about these things. And I have grown children that I'm trying to be cool mom and let them be open. And it's a very big struggle. So I appreciate you bringing stories like that out that make it easier in our community. I wanted to ask about the art and the use of sort of like the historic Mughal pieces. So what inspired that and what were you looking for?
So I can shout out another organization that supported me is the Pillars Fund. And when we did our retreat in New York, they had a whole day where it was talking about like your artistic legacy and like tying us back to our roots in Asia or Africa or wherever our ancestors came from. And then they took us on a tour of the Met. And it was like a private tour. It was the first time that the Met had a Muslim curator for the Islamic world art section, which is a problematic title. I think they're working on that. But and I've always just loved Mughal and Persian miniatures and wanted to like incorporate them in a film somehow. And then because this topic is so difficult, it felt like this is the kind of film that would lend itself to animation, and you know, that just felt like this natural fit of like the Mughal miniatures, and also kind of thinking about how do we bring in like the modern world and like kind of the societies that we're growing up in here, and also like all of our religious and cultural traditions that are defining a lot of how we're moving through these environments.
Great. And there was a question. Yes, Noel?
I want to first say this is the first time I've seen an entirely female panel at one of these, and it's really incredible and something that I think deserves a shout out because you don't see a lot of that, unfortunately, specifically in film, specifically in Muslim film.
You do with ISF, girl.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, I want to ask what that means for you guys, as you guys are in this industry that already isn't very female oriented, but also to be a Muslim woman in this industry. Advice / what it means for you to create the art you're creating to support the women and, you know, everyone else in the industry.
Thank you so much. And I just want to shout out to Nawal, who's doing the first Muslim festival in New York, in America ever. Yes, and it's happening in September.
October 11th at the SVA Theater.
Yeah, come on out. Come on out. Okay, amazing. But please, who wants to take that? Sarah.
What does it mean to me? Well, first of all, thank you guys for the, you know, making the platform and the spaces and you know, championing voices. I think like I kind of already said this, but I think it really comes back to surrounding yourself with the right collaborators. Like as a woman, it's like it can be very easy to be like steamrolled, and like after now like having just completed like a studio feature film and like having to like be in meetings with execs where like, you know, it's like these people have like many films under their belt and like walk with a certain air, and like especially if you're coming in not just as a woman but like a first-time filmmaker, and like there's like this dynamic of like, oh, I have to be grateful for this opportunity, which I am, and like, you know, I you know, I'm grateful first to Allah, but like also to like the people who like, you know, pave the way and like allow me to make art. But I think it's really important to sort of like cushion yourself and like surround yourself with like advocates and like people who believe in the vision, and also like people who you really want to be around and work with. So I think like when I was first starting out, it was really important to me to like, you know, like meet big names, or it's like, oh, this person has done this thing or has worked on that thing and I really want to meet them. And like people were always like, no, like network horizontal, like you want to meet people who like you actually want to spend time with and work with, because these are people who like you're going to be FaceTiming and DMing these people a lot. Like you are going to spend a lot of time with these people. And I think like having people who like I love and like love to work with made that process easier, because then when I was in those rooms, like I could always lean on like my producers or like my UPM, like she's amazing. My first AD was like my right hand, like so like supportive and so like just created such a lovely environment on set. So I think like, you know, woman or otherwise, I think, but especially as women, it's just really important to like have that community. And also I think just like walk the walk and like talk the talk and like fake it till you make it, and like own that confidence, because like God knows like people who like do not deserve that confidence are walking around with that confidence. So like I think just like owning your like charisma and owning your art and owning like your ability to like do this thing, like half the process of making a film is like convincing people you can make a film. So if you're like timid and like this, then like no one's gonna believe it. But if you're like, yeah, like I'm making this movie and this is what's happening, then like, you know, people will sort of follow that energy. So yeah, that's my advice.
Okay, last question, then we're gonna wrap it up, please.
Hi, I was really interested in vulnerability that came up. I was really blown away by all the films, but I have a question for Nosheen. What process did your participants go through in dealing with their shame and fear around discussing such a big topic that we never talk about in South Asian families? And some of my reaction was, what do you mean you could talk to your mom about this? What do you mean your dad let you do this? I was a little envious, but like also very, very happy to experience that. But
Oh, I was super envious of them too.
yeah,
And we actually have a rep from the film was inspired by the work of Heart, which Karen's here from representing Heart.
Karen, wave at everybody. Yay. They do amazing work.
Yeah,
But please,
definitely go and find them. So they used to do these mother-daughter workshops, but this is before COVID, where they would like bring moms and daughters together literally to have the sex talk, because they were like, we need to help them break the ice. I know, amazing. And like I wanted to shoot a verite film where we were like a fly on the wall in this conversation, and then COVID happened. And we were like, okay, that movie's not happening for years now. But all of the participants were related to Heart. And I think because of the environment that their organization already fosters, they were able to have these conversations with me because they were comfortable with them. But we also we made sure like people like were in therapy and had gotten help for the issues they were dealing with. Like there were people who were very vulnerable that were like, somebody was like, I'm gonna come out to my family through your film. And I was like, that's a bad idea. You know, like
Oh my gosh.
we're not doing that. So like we made sure that they had support, they had family, like that, you know, like that they were in a space where they could share those stories with us. But it was really like Heart laid a lot of the groundwork. So it was like very, you know, easy for me to like come in and be like, these are great people for this movie.
that's awesome. Can I offer you something because you have a moral dilemma? My thought was that even though you weren't comfortable sharing personal stories like that with people, maybe it's okay for them to share, because morally that might have been okay with them.
Okay, thank you so much for that,
different
friend. On that note, we're going to wrap it all up. Thank you, guys. We're going to have dinner next upstairs. So that's going to happen at 6:30, which is, I believe, right now. So, yes, thank you so much.